Welcome back to the channel, folks. This is episode 4 of the 4K forecast, and in the 4K forecast we look at all the upcoming releases each month. So this month it's May, and we've got Uncharted from Sony Pictures, Arrow's bringing out Wild Things and Candyman in 4K, and then ultimately at the end of the month we have Second Sight's hotly anticipated release of Drive on 4K. We're going to be covering all that and more over the next 15 minutes or so, so stay tuned, don't go anywhere. So if you found this channel for the first time, if this is your first time joining us here, then I'm Andy, your electric geek, and on this channel I mainly cover 4K Blu-ray. I do kind of deep dive reviews, I do steelbook unboxings, I do the 4K forecast, which is you're watching now, which is having a look at everything that's coming out on 4K in the UK, and I touch on home cinema and a little bit of gaming as well. So if you're into all that stuff, then please consider subscribing to the channel. And if you're not new here and you've not subscribed, then what are you waiting on? I'm looking at you, get subscribed. Okay folks, so real quick, just before we get started, I had my first complaint about my thick Scottish accent.
Speak up, darling, I can't hear you.
And I just thought I'd say in this video, if that's the case, I appreciate it, it's quite a thick accent, I do my best to pronounce things, but if you do struggle, please remember at the top of the video, in the top right hand corner, YouTube does auto-generated subtitles, so I won't be offended if you stick subtitles on so you can better understand me. I'd rather you fully understood what I was trying to get across to you then stuff got misinterpreted, so please do stick on the subtitles if you struggle to understand my accent.
She's saying that.
Yes, I think I got it without the subtitles.
Anyway, let's get into it. So the first releases to come out are on Monday the 2nd of May, and the first one we're going to cover here is Disney Studios' Turning Red. Now, I haven't actually seen this one myself. I've seen just about everything else on Disney Plus because I've got 2 young girls, and we certainly get value for money out of Disney Plus. But Encanto does get played at least 3 times a day, so there's been no time for Turning Red. But yeah, it's already on Disney Plus, so I can understand if people don't want to pick it up, but obviously people like to collect the Disney stuff as well. So your options are basically you'll get the standard slip edition for $24.99, and then Zavi have an exclusive steelbook as well for, I believe, $29.99. As far as tech specs goes, this is native 4K, it's in HDR10, and it's in Dolby Atmos. You'll get Dolby Atmos on Disney Plus, and I believe it's also in Dolby Vision, so the disc doesn't have Dolby Vision. However, obviously you don't have bitrate to contend with, and it'll be a better presentation visually, potentially, on HDR10 anyway. But you get 3 discs if you go with the Steelbook, but you're only getting 2 discs with the standard edition, so it's not just an upgrade to the Steelbook. If you go with the Zavi exclusive, you're getting another Blu-ray disc which has some extra special features, I believe. So if you're into your Disney, you can get Turning Red on the 2nd of May. Next up, we have a bit of a blast for the past from me and Universal Studios' Smokin Aces. This is a Joe Carnahan film. I remember it coming out because I worked at Blockbuster Video at the time, 2006, and I remember that being a popular release then on DVD just before Blu-ray kind of came on the scene. Bit of an ensemble cast, kind of like a more rock and roll Ocean's 11, shall we say. I remember it being good fun and enjoying it at the time, but I've never actually revisited it, so not sure I'll pick it up straight away for 20 quid. I can probably wait until it's in a 3 for 30 or a 2 for 30 or something like that. As I say, that's 20 quid, and you can get that on the 2nd of May also. Moving on to the following week though, the 9th of May, and we have a few releases, the first being a box set from Alfred Hitchcock. Now it's Alfred Hitchcock's Classics Collection Volume 2. This comprises Saboteur, Shadow of Doubt, The Trouble with Harry, Marnie and Family Plot, all coming to 4K I believe for the first time. Spec wise, they're all native 4K and the colour grading is HDR10. Audio wise, I believe it's the DTS HD 5.1 tracks that's on them, probably from previous Blu-ray releases, but I wouldn't expect Hitchcock's movies to get Atmos or DTSX. So yeah, I've actually only seen one of these movies, and that's Marnie, because Sean Connery was in it, and growing up I was a big Bond fan, and I think when I've been watching the old Connery films, it's kind of led me to Marnie. I've not actually seen a huge deal of Hitchcock's back catalogue. It's something I really need to get onto. I've obviously seen the likes of Psycho, Rear Window, Vertigo and stuff, but these films and a lot of these other ones I'm just not familiar with. So yeah, as I say, if you want this box set, it is $69.99. Volume 1's already out there. I think it'll be similarly priced. I noticed it tends to kind of hold its value just because they're such classic films. But yeah, you can check that out if you weren't aware that his original films are already out. It's a 10 disc set, and you get the accompanying Blu-rays with it as well, which have a fair amount of special features on them. Having a look at it, it's nothing like it's going to blow your socks off, but decent, at least a documentary on each one kind of thing. So if you're an avid Hitchcock fan, you can pick that up on the 9th of May. Also being released on the 9th of May from the BBC is the Planet Collection on 4K, and this is exclusive to Amazon. So I have Planet Earth 2 on 4K, and it is a fantastic set for demoing your telly. That was why I got it. But not just that, they're actually really, really good documentaries. Even if you're not really into that kind of thing or wildlife, it's hard not to be kind of sucked in back to them. Obviously you've got David Attenborough doing the narration, and the production and the team of specialists they have to capture all the various different wildlife and animals in their natural habitat is truly astounding. So yeah, I can highly recommend Planet Earth 2, which features on this collection. Included in the collection is, as I say, Planet Earth 2, but you also get Blue Planet 2, 7 Worlds, 1 Planet 4K, A Perfect Planet 4K, and the most recent, The Green Planet 4K. Now this is going to set you back $99.99, so £100 for all these. But when you think about the hours and hours, I mean, it's 1,510 minutes of runtime, so you're getting a lot of 4K goodness there for your £100. Do I like these enough to spend £100 on them all? No, I'll not be picking them up. As I say, I've got Planet Earth 2, and that'll do me as my kind of demo disc. But if you're really into these, then it is probably good value to pick them up for £100, or at least wait a few months and see if you can get them maybe a bit cheaper, 80, 70 or something, which I think would be really good value. But yeah, I can certainly recommend Planet Earth 2 as the one I've seen. As far as like tech specs go, they're all native 4K, and the colour grading on them is HDR10. Only A Perfect Planet comes with Atmos, which is a shame because I think they'd all be really good in Atmos, you know, especially the kind of the wildlife, the jungle, especially the jungle scenes I think would benefit. You'd get the atmospherics of the jungle fantastically if it was up mixed to Atmos. But I think for Green Planet and certainly Planet Earth, the mixes are just DTS HD 5.1, but they're perfectly acceptable, and as I say, really good presentations across the board. So that's out on the 9th of May. Next up is Sony Pictures' Uncharted. Now this is the adaptation of the very popular Sony PlayStation franchise of the same name, Uncharted. Stars Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg playing the lead roles. There was a lot of backlash when these stars were announced as being cast because a lot of people felt they were just too young for the role. And I still think Mark Wahlberg was too young, however, having seen the film myself, I was quite surprised in Tom Holland, and I can see him maturing into the role of Nathan Drake with inevitable sequels that will no doubt follow, because I think it was a success at the box office. You can have a wee swatch at my Letterboxd review here, or follow me on there if you want. But yeah, I'll probably pick this up. You can get 2 versions of it. So there's the standard slip, which I quite like that work for, it's $24.99, and then Zavi also do a Steelbook edition. I think the Steelbook edition looks really, really cool, however sadly, at time of filming this on the 27th of April that is, it's currently sold out, but that doesn't mean to say you can go in there and obviously hit the little notification button, and sometimes you'll get an email when they restock them, especially if it's sold out quick and it's popular, which I think in this case it has been. But yeah, tech specs wise, it's a 4K native disc, it's HDR10 that's on there and Atmos, so I'm quite sure if you've got a decent home cinema setup, it's going to be a really good disc, regardless of what you think of the movie. That's kind of why I'm getting it. I enjoyed it, but I think it's going to look pretty good on my setup, so that's probably why I'll get it. I'm not sure if we'll get it on day one again, might wait until it's in 2 for 30 or something. But yeah, I think I'll definitely be picking up Uncharted on 4K. So moving on to the 16th of May now, and we have 2 4K releases that week, both from Paramount Pictures. The first being the Western 1962's classic, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. I say it's a classic, I've never seen it myself. I'm not mad into Western films. I was probably bored to tears with them because my dad and my grandpa used to watch them non-stop. I think they still do. So I've probably kind of subconsciously veered away from them because I used to get subjected to them that much growing up. But yeah, I know it is a classic. James Stewart and John Wayne, 2 big titans of Hollywood, but certainly the Western genre. I should mention this is actually a Zavi exclusive. It's $21.99 there. Tech spec wise, it's a 4K native, so they must have rescanned the original negative. It's coming in Dolby Vision as far as the colour grading goes, as well as HDR10, and at this time, certainly from Blu-ray.com, I can't confirm what the audio will be, but I would imagine that given that it's an older film, I don't think it's going to get Atmos or anything. It'll probably be some form of standard uncompressed, be it DTS HD or Dolby True HD. But yeah, if you're into that film, which I'm sure many will be, that's one you can pick up on the 16th of May. Next up, something totally different from that, albeit from Paramount, is Beverly Hills Cop 2. This came out in 1987. I think I've seen all the Beverly Hills Cop films, but I can't really remember them. I enjoyed them, but they're not ones that I revisit often. This is 1999 and it's only coming with the 4K disc. You're not getting the accompanying Blu-ray. This seems to be something certainly Paramount and other studios are trying now, like, you know, ditch the Blu-ray, because often it's just a carbon copy of lesser quality than what's on the 4K, and maybe that way they can reduce their manufacturing cost and bring down the price on the consumer's end as well. So I don't think it's a bad thing, because $24.99 is steep for 4Ks, you know, the kind of standard rate when they have the dual discs. So if it knocks off a fiver and you lose the Blu-ray, as long as you're not losing the special features, I would argue, then I'm kind of all for that. But yeah, tech spec wise, Beverly Hills Cop 2, it's 4K native, the colour grading's in HDR10, and the audio is to be confirmed. But again, I'm not sure, I wouldn't imagine it'd be Atmos, but you never know. Sometimes these kind of, I know it's an action comedy, but these kind of action films from the 80s do get a wee uptick to Atmos, so we'll see. But yeah, that's your two films from Paramount on the 16th of May. On to the 23rd, and on the 23rd there is a raft of 4Ks coming out, so this seems to be when most of the 4Ks are coming out in the month of May. So starting us off, we have Arrow's Candyman, the original 1992 Candyman, not the recent remake obviously, coming to 4K. Now this seems to be what they're doing now with, if they've got a 4K scan, so you've had Robocop there, Hills of Eyes is another one. There's been a few examples where they're previously existing limited edition Blu-rays, all they're doing, especially if the film already has a 4K mastering somewhere at a studio, they're just basically releasing that exact same box set, albeit with the 4K discs. And yes, of course, you know, you're getting that uptick in resolution. The colour grading is usually getting changed as well to Dolby Vision or HDR10, which is always welcome. And sometimes we get Atmos and whatnot. So that's great, but it's just a shame that they seem to just bring out these box sets and, you know, contents-wise they are the exact same. They don't change anything at all. So that seems to be the case with Candyman in 4K. I've never actually seen this film because I don't really like horrors. That's wrong. It's not that I don't like them, I'm just too feared to watch them, but I'm trying to remedy that. So I'll probably get around to watching it at some point. I know it's a horror classic. I don't have the previous box set, but I have looked into it, and as I say, they're pretty much carbon copies. I did recently review Robocop. If you follow the channel, you've seen that, and if you haven't, you can obviously dive in, you'll find it there. But that was the case with Robocop. People complained because the box set was pretty much identical, as was the Steelbook. So I got both because I'm a super fan, but I already had the Steelbook, so I got the box set, so it wasn't that bad. But yeah, just tread carefully with these Arrow 4K releases. In some cases, especially if there's a 4K scan on the previously released Blu-ray, you're maybe better just sticking with that. I think if you haven't got it yet, then of course jump in at the 4K level. But yeah, sometimes I'm not sure the 30-35 quid is worth it, especially when nothing's really changed. But yeah, if you want Candyman on 4K, you can get that on the 23rd, and it does look like a really good box set. Like I say, I'm not putting anyone off, just bear in mind if you've already got the Blu-ray one, you're pretty much getting the same thing. If you're looking for a bargain, remember Arrow's Easter sale is on just now, and if you want Candyman, just the Blu-ray with the 4K mastering, you can pick it up for $8.99 now. And as far as special features go, it's pretty much got everything that's on this new 4K one. It's just not a 2-disc set, so it's not got the different cut, but it's the R-rated cut, 4K mastered. So top tip if you're looking to save money and you want to watch the Candyman. Next up is another horror release from Studio Canal. I'd never actually heard of this until I did the research here. It's Stephen King's Cat's Eye. Apparently this is like a 3 stories in 1 type feature length thing. It sounds actually quite interesting. It's not really my thing, but I'm sure there'll be fans of it out there. You can get this for £20. Spec wise, it's 4K native. It's got HDR10 colour grading, and I'm not sure about the audio. We'll just have to wait and see nearer the time of release. But yeah, if you're into Stephen King and you're a horror collector, you can add this to your 4K collection on the 23rd of May. And yeah, if you're sitting watching this and it's one of your favourite films, or you've seen it, or you can tell us in about it, then obviously let us know in the comments. I'll be interested. Should I watch it? Is it worth checking out? You can let us know. Then this brings us on to what was in the thumbnail, and that is Arrow's release of Wild Things. Now, I have seen Wild Things. I watched it as a young adolescent. 1998, I was 12 years old. So like every other young teenager, when this film came out, we all know why we were watching it, and I'm sure there's people out there that want to see that very scene in 4K. But I remember it being a good movie. That scene I'm talking about happens near the beginning, and to be honest, for my young mind, it probably fried my brain for the rest of the film, so I can't really remember it. So I would be keen to actually watch it again. But I know it's got kind of cult status now, and it's not a film I've ever owned, but I'm intrigued by this 4K release. So with regards to the 4K release, there's a few options to choose from. So the ultimate one, if you like, is $39.99, and that's, I believe, a Zavi exclusive. So that's like your typical Arrow rigid box with all your art cards, double-sided poster, all that good stuff, except you also get the steelbook inside. So traditionally you've had to usually pick, do you want just the steelbook or do you want the box set, which usually comes with your typical plastic case. So I think this is quite a good idea, coming out with the deluxe edition, so you get the best of both if you want to spend that extra. With regards to the design though, I don't actually particularly like the design of this deluxe, and I think the steelbook is a bit naff as well. It doesn't really do anything for me, but you can let me know what you think yourself in the comments. So that's your kind of top tier one if you want the steelbook and all the collectibles. And then the last option with regards to 4K is the one disc set. Now I actually like the artwork to this one disc set better than the deluxe one, and I'm not all that bothered about having the Blu-ray and all the stuff that goes with it. So if I was going to pick this up, which I might well do, I'd probably go with the one you see on your screen now. I don't know, I think it's just a bit chicer, a bit classier looking, the artwork here, than the one that's on the deluxe. But again, you can let me know what you think in the comments. So we're getting a 4K native presentation of Wild Things. It'll have been rescanned. I believe it's been done by Sony Pictures, and they usually always, Sony's releases are always awesome looking, certainly the newer ones. So I'd imagine applying whatever tech they do to these older films, they're just going to be like every bit as good. There's two cuts. I think it's a US R-rated and a UK theatrical one. As I say, I'm not overly familiar with the film, so I don't know what the differences will be, but it's still quite cool that you get both cuts on there. Colour grading wise, you're getting Dolby Vision and HDR10, so all good on that front. And with regards the audio, it's in DTS HD Master Audio 5.1. So you'll be able to get yourself all hot and bothered in 4K over Wild Things once more on the 23rd of May. Next up that week is James Wan's Malignant, the horror movie from 2021. Not seen it myself. I know James Wan directed Aquaman. I think he had something to do with the Conjuring series as well, so obviously kind of knows what he's doing when it comes to horror movies, so probably back in his wheelhouse coming out with this one. You can pick it up, as I say, for $19.99. It's from Warner Brothers Studios. Tech spec wise, it's two discs. You're getting the 4K and the Blu-ray. The 4K is just a 2K source, so it's just upscaled to 4K, probably again because it's not been shot. Maybe using 4K cameras, whatever. I don't know why. Maybe there's special effects in it. For whatever reason, it's been mastered in 2K, and that's why we're getting the upscale. Colour grading wise, it's HDR10. In regards to audio, it's DTS HD Master Audio 5.1. So yeah, horror fans can add this to their collection on the 23rd of May also. Next up is a release that I'll be honest, I know absolutely nothing about. So if you're watching and you do know something about this, then please let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on it and tell me a bit more about it. But it's Future Boy Conan. This is Japanese anime, I believe. It came out in 1978. I think it's a series, and this is going to be part one of that. Price is still to be confirmed. I can't find anything for it. It is up on Amazon. I don't think there's a price there just quite yet. I'm led to believe it's a 4K native presentation. Not sure with regards to HDR what formats are going to be on it, if on it at all. But yeah, it's a 4-disc set, and I'm assuming if it's a 1978 anime that's getting released in 4K, it must be a fairly significant one. Anime is something that I definitely need to brush up on, but yeah, this also releases on the 23rd of May. But then lastly, on to two films that I have actually seen, and that's two Jack Ryan movies, 1992's Patriot Games starring Harrison Ford, and 2002's The Sum of All Fears, where Jack Ryan was replaced by, what's his face, Ben Affleck. Both these films are coming from Paramount, and as I mentioned earlier when I was talking about Beverly Hills Cop 2, which is also from Paramount, these two are also being released as just one disc 4K editions, so there's no accompanying Blu-ray. I enjoy these movies, maybe a bit dated now. I mean, Patriot Games is 30 years old. I think I enjoyed the Harrison Ford movies more than I did the Ben Affleck one. I remember watching that when it came out, and I can't remember a thing about it, but I remember being kind of bored throughout and it being a bit of a chore to get through. Whereas Clear and Present Danger and Patriot Games, I found quite enjoyable action movies for their time. Tech spec wise, they are both native 4K presentations. Both got Dolby Vision with regards to the colour grading, and the audio on it is just DTS HD Master Audio. So I know upgraded to Atmos, but they're older films, so I kind of get that, and they're probably not hugely popular films, so I understand why they maybe wouldn't spend the time upgrading the audio. But yeah, you can get these two tales from Jack Ryan in 4K on the 23rd of May. And that takes us finally on to the 30th of May, and there's some pretty big films coming out that week on 4K. First being Drive, Nicholas Winding Refn, is it? Somebody can correct me on the pronunciation. But yeah, I absolutely love Drive. As I say, I've had it for a good few years on Blu-ray, and when it came out, when I heard it was being released in 4K, it was a no-brainer. It was just, what version was I going to get? And I've opted in this case for the deluxe one. So it's coming from Second Sight Films. My understanding is that it is just going to be, as far as like tech spec goes, it's just going to be the 2K mastering, just upscaled to 4K. But I'm not all that bothered about that. As I say, it's going to have Dolby Vision, and the audio is getting upgraded to Atmos. So I absolutely love the soundtrack to Drive. I think it's such an integral part of it, and I think that's why it's so a big part of why it was so successful. So hearing that soundtrack in Atmos is something I'm really looking forward to, and it'll be interesting to see how it looks with the colour grading, the Dolby Vision. So I definitely think it's worth your money. As I say, you get two versions of this. There's a kind of standard one that's coming out. It's going to be your typical $24.99. It's got new artwork by All City, which I think is pretty cool, very in keeping with the film, very stylish. There are some new exclusive special features on the release, which is quite cool. I think there's a 70-minute interview with the director, the editor, and Cliff Martinez, the guy that composed the soundtrack. So definitely one that if you're a fan like me, you'll want to watch. There's also a new audio commentary on it from the director. I really like audio commentaries. I know some people don't bother with them, but I find them really interesting, and I always like to listen to them for my favourite films. So looking forward to that. As I say, standard's $24.99, but there's also this pretty sexy box set that's coming out. Now this is the one I've went for. It's $54.99, but please don't tell the wife. But yeah, I thought it was worth the money. You get with it the original book. I didn't even realise it was based on a book, so I'm looking forward to reading that with new artwork from All City exclusive to this box set. And there's also a 240-page booklet with various different essays from movie critics that are fans of the films and whatnot. So really look forward to reading that, as well as like all the usual trinkets and art cards and stuff that come with it. So given just how much I love Drive, I thought, yeah, if there's going to be a film you're going to splash out on, then I'd like it for that, especially when it comes in such a nice, slick, stylish packaging. So you can let me know if you'd be picking up Drive yourself, what you thought of the movie. I know it kind of splits opinion. I think it is a bit of a masterpiece, but I can get why some people might watch it and it'd be a bit lost on them. But you can let me know. I kind of see it as like a modern day Taxi Driver in a way. That's putting it very simply. I appreciate they are two different films, but there's definitely parallels, and I think it's excellent. If you haven't seen it, at least watch it. What I'll do is I'll give this away. I'll probably do an unboxing for that box set, and I'll probably give this away in some shape or form. So if you haven't seen it and you want to check it out, then at the end of the month I'll probably give my copy away of the Blu-ray, so stay tuned for that and subscribe if you don't want to miss that video. But yeah, that's Drive on 4K, and that is my pick of this month. Then on to a trilogy of films that are also classics, and I've got them already on 4K, but they're being re-released in these really cool collector's edition box sets with new steelbooks included also, and that is the Dark Knight trilogy, Christopher Nolan's Batman films. So won't go on about these a huge amount. I'll put them up on the screen. They're very, very cool sets. If it wasn't for the fact that I already own them in quite cool, I can't remember what these are called, film book format on 4K, then I might be tempted. But they are $39.99 each, so you're looking at, quick math, 120 quid. 120 quid's a big investment, I would suggest, because you're not just going to buy one, are you? You're probably going to buy all three of them. So I didn't quite spend that on these, but I'm very happy with them. I think they're cool, and it's just slightly specialer editions than what the standards are, so I'm quite happy with them. But yeah, if you want to get them, there is no change. Or if you're like me, you've maybe got the kind of slip box or even those versions, and you're thinking there's anything new on these. From what I've looked at, there is nothing new on them whatsoever. It's just the exclusive artwork, the posters, the art cards, lobby cards, storyboard ones and whatnot. All very, very cool, and obviously the steelbook. All very, very cool. I really like them, but I'm just not going to invest that in them. Tech-wise, there's nothing different. It's not like a new mastering, or the existing 4K ones I have. I've never had Dolby Atmos or DTSX, and these ones aren't getting upgraded either. So it's just a straight port as far as the presentation of the films go. So if you can't afford them or whatever, don't stress, because people that are buying these ones aren't going to have visually better versions of the one you've got. So if you want them, as I say, these are still available to pre-order. I think they're all still available. I've not checked the Dark Knight. I would imagine that'll be the one that will be the most popular, but I think they're all still available from various different retailers, so definitely worth checking out. If you don't have them on 4K, then I would suggest definitely think about getting these ones. All three look fantastic. They get progressively better. Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises has a lot of scenes that were filmed in IMAX, and those are absolute reference. They look absolutely fantastic on your TV, so don't worry about the transfers, they're fantastic. And then last but not least, the last title I'm going to cover, and it's quite good news, I would suggest, for UK steelbook collectors, is the release of 2016's Hacksaw Ridge, starring Andrew Garfield of Spider-Man fame. So this is the true story of Desmond Doss, who I believe is the only conscientious objector to ever have won the Congressional Medal of Honor. It is a really, really good film. It's directed by Mel Gibson, and as I say, I think I've seen it in streaming when it came out, and I did think it was very, very good. Great performances, well directed, and just the story itself is just so amazing in itself. Basically, if you don't know, it won't spoil it, but Desmond Doss got drafted to the war, but he was a man of moral principle clearly, and he didn't agree with killing. He understood the war was necessary, but he didn't agree with taking a life, so he refused to do any weapons training or even carry a weapon. And not to spoil what kind of happens, he ends up obviously taking on a medic's role, given that he's not going to be a combatant. But what he ends up doing throughout the war to earn his Congressional Medal of Honor is truly remarkable and inspiring. So if you've not seen this film, just go out and see it. It is really, really good. But why it's good news for steelbook collectors is because it's coming from Lionsgate, right? And up until now, I believe Lionsgate exclusively released their kind of steelbook editions through Best Buy in America, and if you wanted one, you have to go through the hassle of getting involved in maybe a group buy and ordering from America and paying the postage and whatnot, and it's all just a bit of hassle. So I recently did that with their release of The Hurt Locker. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll have seen this already, but if you haven't, what makes them cool is they've got these transparent slips on them. They put a lot of love and effort into the artwork, so as you can see there, it's partially transparent. It's really cool. You get the 4K and the Blu-ray, very, very nice artwork on it, great spread, and even hold it up to the camera, you'll see like there's a lot of attention to detail, because even the discs, even those are thematic. It's not just your one colour generic disc design. So they're very, very nice, and this Hacksaw Ridge has already been released. I think it came out last year, a good year ago anyway, in America, of a similar kind of design to this Hurt Locker one. So this is the first time I've seen one being released over here, because the problem with this is the accompanying Blu-ray is region A, so unless you've got a chipped player, you can't play the Blu-ray. Fortunately, this one's special features are all on the 4K, which is multi-region, so that's all good. And obviously the digital copy, you don't get that either, because it's American. But I think it's a good sign if we're getting Hacksaw Ridge. Maybe we're going to get Hurt Locker and the American Psycho one that I've also got, and just every other one that they bring out, because their designs really are good, and there's some cracking films obviously. But yeah, Hacksaw Ridge is already out here. It's just now you can get this really, really cool steelbook edition of it. Only drawback is that it is priced at $39.99, and I'm wondering if that is to do with shipping. The fact that these are like American products that have been brought over, I don't know what the score is with that. It seems a lot of money for a steelbook, albeit the design is very nice. But typically over here you're 30 quid, aren't you? And now you're paying 40 for this one. I mean, it's good, but I don't know if it's 10 quid good. I don't know if it's 10 quid extra good, I should say. But yeah, that's why it's good news. I hope they keep bringing out these Lionsgate releases when we see the back catalogue ones appearing as well. But yeah, you can get that on the 30th of May, and I can highly recommend it. Tech spec wise though, Hacksaw Ridge is just a 2K master upscaled to 4K. Colour grading's in HDR10, but the sound is in Atmos, and I'm sure all the World War II action scenes will sound absolutely fantastic in Atmos. So definitely worth checking out. I remember the picture quality being pretty good in streaming, so don't be put off by the 2K mastering. But yeah, that covers everything for me as of today anyway. It might change, so please, if you're watching this week's down the line, understand that I can't just keep changing the video, but all the information I'm giving you is correct as of the 27th of April. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I hope you found it useful. If so, please remember to hit the like button and drop a wee comment below, and subscribe of course for future episodes. But before we go, I'll just give you my top 3 picks. So for me, number 3 is Uncharted. I think that's going to look awesome, and it is quite a fun movie. Number 2, I would suggest Hacksaw Ridge. I'm probably not going to get it, I think it's too expensive, but I can speak for the Lionsgate Steelbooks. They're pretty awesome, and it's a great movie. And then number 1, it's got to be the one I pre-ordered, isn't it? It's got to be Drive. Just get it, or at least watch Drive. It's one of my favourite movies, so that's my number 1 pick for the month of May. Let me know what you are getting, guys. What's your top 3, or at least what is your favourite one? But yeah, I'm always interested to know, so let me know in the comments below. I've been Andy Electric Geek. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.